Episode 144 of the BIC podcast under the auspices of Brett Favre. We've got a football week has happened. Week one of the footballs has occurred. We've got an exciting announcement. And yes, it doesn't involve legal proceedings of Eric. We've got other exciting announcements. And we are less than 2 months away from the expo. One of these announcements might have to do with the expo. Just throw it out there. We'll recap some stuff, some pickups, and we'll also recap a video that I put on the channel just this past weekend and talk a little bit about it because one of the themes still resonates. But honestly, the majority of this episode will be talking about the footballs because honestly, there was a lot of things that happened. Not just Brandon complaining about his team, but there was other stuff that happened too. That and more of this episode of the BIC podcast. Yes, under the watchful eyes of Brett Favre, as I mentioned. This episode 144 is a special one. We've got a couple of things we're going to talk about. First off the top, I think we need to have a couple of discussions about a brief announcement. As I mentioned, we are less than 2 weeks away from the Fall Expo. It is the twice-a-year event that several of people inside of the BIC sphere have attended. Even Eric. They even let him over the border to allow it. But...
Months,
not weeks.
I've had a lot of concussions.
No, I've had no concussions. I've had many.
Eric, how do you know if you don't remember the concussion that I had because you had a concussion?
I can't argue that point.
I'm just saying, the logic is flawless. 2 months. So, inside of 2 months, the BIC people have been there. But one person that has not been there and may not be attending, Brandon, Bobbles and Ball Cards will be joining us. The meet and greet will be happening. Eric will be the usher. The meet and greet will be occurring. Oh, it's going to be very exciting. Like, look, is his expertise. Like, he harasses hockey players all the time. At this point, he should know how to run line, get the table set up, get the 8x10 slid across the table. Like, Eric, isn't this what you do?
We'll be selling beard clippings for the first 100 people.
Can you get 100 out of that? I don't know.
I would think, yeah, you probably could. Yeah. Especially between now and then, like, look at this, Brandon. It could be a beard from not official person, place, or thing.
Oh, yeah. Not associated with any person, place, or thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, like, honestly, we can get it from anywhere. It's fine. We've got this covered. By the way, yes, Brandon will be joining us. So you might see a wild Bobbles and Ball Cards out in the streets.
I promised last year because I did not make it because I was I waited late into the game to try to get things going, and then I was looking at the wrong area completely.
You were,
which threw a wrench in things. Mm-hmm. So I promised. I'm excited. I told the guys this morning and showed them, so they have proofs. Mm-hmm. I've already reserved a room and everything, and I'm pretty excited to head north and see some hockey cards, eh?
Yeah, look at that. Did you see that? That was impressive.
That was pretty good, eh?
Yeah, he was trying to ingratiate himself to the locals.
A sorry.
See the land of the hockeys.
He's got to go to Timmy's.
Oh, he's got to go to Timmy's.
I've never had Tim Hortons. Never seen one.
You have to experience this so that then you can complain about why Tim Hortons is not as good as it once was. Like, that's a rite of passage.
So I need to know, Eric. You're in the States. Well, I don't know if you've ever been there. Is it comparable to Buc-ee's?
Never been to a Buc-ee's. Can't tell you.
Okay. Well, we have the Buc-ee's.
Yeah, but the thing though is in the Buc-ee's you have an entire merch stand. You have Buc-ee's cult. Like, that's a different level. Yeah. Like, we do not have. I think if you had there are inanimate objects that have been turned into living things by people allegedly on previous live streams, say this past Friday, but there is no Mr. Tim Hortons. There was. He's dead. Mr. Tim Hortons is dead. He was a man. He was alive, and now he's not.
He died in a drunk driving crash.
He did. All the way back in the 70s. But the reason I mentioned this is that a lot of people actually don't realize it's like, no, Tim Hortons was the Tim Hortons hockey player. Like, if you go look at like the hockeys from the 60s, I think I forget. I think his rookie year was like, I think it was early 60s, wasn't it? Thereabouts, late 50s, early 60s. I forget. Yeah. We can double check what the rookie was. But the point is, he was playing through the 60s and into the 70s, and he actually founded that restaurant with some partners and everything. The restaurant exists to this day. It still bears his name. But yeah, the man has been long gone. It's like the Colonel Sanders situation. Like, but the thing is, you don't really see anything related to the man in most of them. So that's why it's kind of funny. The only exception where you can have a little bit of a connection-ish is the Tim Hortons they've got in the building where the Hockey Hall of Fame is, where when I feel like teasing Eric, I'll take pictures of it because it's literally in the building. Hockey Hall of Fame's downstairs. The Tim Hortons there actually has hockey merch. They've got displays. So they obviously with Hockey Hall of Fame connection, they're able to get the hookup in order to have some hockey's stuff on display.
Yeah.
But only
Well, I got a lot to learn. I've been looking on the interwebs all day at different things. The conversion rate, never have had to deal with that, and all those good deals. Realized that Canada's taxes suck ass. I did mention that in the chat thread. But yeah, I'm at least at the right location this time. So
you are.
Progress has been made.
Canada is a rather large country, so being in the wrong location could be problematic.
Yeah.
You're like, guys, I'm here. What does it say? It says, welcome to Surrey, British Columbia. Oh, that's the wrong direction. Oh, that's so the wrong. Oh, you took the wrong turn at Albuquerque there, buddy.
For those that aren't aware, last year's mix-up was I thought because it was called the Expo and people said it's in Toronto, that it was the Toronto Expo Center. And yeah, that wasn't it. So got that cleared up, and yeah. So
yeah, he was headed more in the direction of the Toronto Metro Convention Center, which is a convention center, and it is a space where you can have expo type gatherings. But that is ironically, Brendan, if you had gone to that one, it is closer to the CN Tower.
Yeah.
So it's just that gets you closer to the CN Tower, but it's further away from the actual card show we're talking.
Yeah.
So anyway, so more on that in coming weeks. So something to look forward to. So the BIC universe it should be a collision. Worlds collide. Not only will you see the Brad, you can see the Burrell in person. You can see all the other characters. Yannick, he does exist. He is real. He's not AI generated. Eric might be, but the other ones, not so much. They are real. Yes, indeed. So that'll be one thing we'll talk about a little bit as we get closer to it. Other than that, in same vein, I actually gave me a reminder that I needed to book my own hotel, so I took care of that as well. So arrangements are being made. We're getting closer. Obviously, look, the road to the National, I think, started like 6 months ago. So, like, honestly, 2 months, I feel like our restraint is commendable. I think we've done very well, and we will take our time building on the road to the expo. That said, now let's quickly do the silly card of the week. I think it's appropriate that we touch on that now. So I'm going to give you all the results from last week's silly card of the week, and then we'll get into the candidates for this week. As always, there will be a community post on the YouTube channel where you'll be able to make your votes. We do count all the votes. It is the only true democracy in this world. So we'll let everybody explain their own thing here. So Eric, I think we're going to get started. No, actually, I'm trying to remember who had the first one. Well, we'll get into it. First, I'll give you guys the results and we'll get into it. But let me first share off the top what we've got going on here. So first of all, here we go. Oh, shoot. That's not it. That is not the right one. Sorry.
Oopsie.
Oops. That foreshadowing for Friday. Accident, not accident, Brandon. Accident, not accident.
They didn't like my power up. Man.
Yep. So here are results. We got them in front of me. So I've got them set up. Again, those who pause will see exactly. Foreshadowing for Friday. It'll all be explained. But anyway, for now, here are the silly card of the week results. So the Scream is the winner. So people do appreciate some fine art with 44% of the popular vote. I will say, though, Social Studies did pretty well, like 35%. That was very competitive. Pretty solid. The Power Up, alas, only 21% of the popular vote. We did count all the votes. So we appreciated everybody that contributed. We always want to make sure we get those votes in there. And appreciated the likes on the post as well.
Yep.
All right. So our first candidate this week is this one right here. We got some food. If we're hungry, this is what we got. Greats of the game. I think this one's yours, Brandon.
It is mine. And this was an homage to Hal effing Gill. Because, he was a Boston legend, right? And this set is the Sports Illustrated presented by Fleer, Greats of the Game. And I'm going to be completely honest, and Mets fans, Mets legend fans, I apologize. I have no freaking clue who Ed Kranepool is. So, aside from that, and the homage to Hal Gill, the man is eating a a full meal. He's got his tea. I'm guessing that's a burger. I don't know exactly. It looks like maybe lobster or something
I was
there.
gonna say, like, I feel like he's holding a burger, and there is lobster there, and there's a couple of things going on.
He's got some
Not one or two.
flowers, the salt and pepper, the old school checkered, tablecloth, and he's just chilling at second base. Now, I do think they made a mistake because it says first base on the card. They should have had him at first base, but we'll let that slide.
Mm.
But anyway, I just thought, image aside, this was great because Ed Kranepool greats of the game, and I have no freaking clue who he is. So Ed freaking Kranepool.
Amazing.
Never heard of him.
He was probably the first NBA three-pointer.
Nope, I don't believe that was. I believe that was Chris Ford.
I think a guy who got a first NBA three-pointer would get lobster. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, he's got 2 plates of food there.
Like that looks to me like a man who earned it. So that's all I'm saying.
He earned
All right,
it.
so this was yours, Eric. Tell us about the Warriors of Ice.
This is, believe it or not, a Jerome Iginla card. Now, you show me, other than the back where it says his name, how in holy hell that's Jerome Iginla?
He has a flaming horse.
Uh-huh.
Calgary Flames.
Calgary Flames.
Yeah, his face doesn't look anything like Jerome McGinley. His face couldn't look anything any less like Jerome McGinley if he tried.
And with respect to Jerome McGinley, he's a black man, and I believe this gentleman on the flaming horse is white. So there's just a lot going on here. I think it's just silly, but early, they wanted to show some of Canada, I guess, and I believe they have the CN Tower in the background, even though that's Toronto, and this card is from Calgary.
What's funny is I think based on the shape, though, I don't think they were going for the CN Tower because the CN Tower is shaped a little bit differently. There might be a tower out west, but it would be obvious. It wouldn't be as noteworthy, but maybe regional. But yeah, if that's the CN Tower, that's a funky looking CN Tower because that's not exactly how it's shaped.
It almost looks like the Seattle one.
Yeah, it's closer. It looks more like Space Needle almost. So, but they might have something out west that's similar to it. I'm not sure.
All right. I don't.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't look like the CN Tower.
I don't know every building that is in Calgary, but yeah, I just thought the background was a little crazy. At no point will anyone make me believe that's Jerome Iginla, Hockey Hall of Famer, Boston Bruin legend, Jerome Iginla.
Wow.
So
claimed as a Boston Bruin legend. I see how this works.
So I just find this whole thing to be utterly ridiculous.
So it would seem. Collector's choice. Warriors of Ice. Jerome McGinley. Question mark. Allegedly. So I think for my selection, I will also select a card of the Hoggies. And I think this one will make Eric feel better. I think this one will put him right at home, Brandon. I think, this one is like an homage to Eric. Because it's a lot of things that Eric cares about. And I promise it has nothing to do with Marcel Dion. And again, anamorphic creatures that he developed notwithstanding. But what I've got is I've got Boston Bruins and I've got piggyback rides.
I do.
So we got
things.
So just saying, we got here Brad Marchand, UD Canvas, giving a piggyback ride
to David Pasternak.
And it looks like it's on the Great Wall of China.
It
does look like that. I don't think it is, but it looks like that.
No, I think it is. I'd bet my life on it. That's
so Brad Marchand was hanging out at the Great Wall of China with David Pasternak giving piggyback rides?
They went to China for an exhibition preseason game, I think. I don't think it was one of the it was either a preseason game or how some of these leagues now are sending people abroad before the season start to have the first actual game, even though the season doesn't start for another month, kind of a situation. I can't remember which one. I'm pretty sure I actually have some type of sign from that, believe it or not. But yeah, they went to China to promote the game, and yeah.
No, nothing promotes the game more than a piggyback ride on the Great Wall of China. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there, Eric, combining things that you love. Tribute.
That's something. That is something.
UD Canvas has a lot of unique photographs, Brandon. A lot of unique photographs.
I like the UD canvases.
I think they're the best cards. I think they're the best looking modern day sport card. UD
I came
canvas.
across that one. There was no other option. It had to be included. All of those
I
were
might
included in
actually
community
get you
post.
to somewhat change your mind when we show pickups.
I actually,
Fancy
this isn't a pickup, per se, because
per se.
I'm just talking about the subject we were just talking about. But I saw this at work, and brought it home because I like these, these types of cards. So even though this is the bees ball, it's upper deck, and it's Carlton Fisk with this whole, waving the ball over the monster UD canvas card. I just think
Yep.
UD canvas just does such a great job in everything they do. The photos are great. The way it, the whole thing looks. I just think they're fantastic, and they're
Yeah,
awesome to get autographed.
that's a famous photo from the 75 World Series with
Yes.
Carlton Fisk making gyrations. I believe it was Game 6 of the 75 World
And
Series.
and this was, and then many years later, he broke man code and started talking to me at the urinal. So,
Wow.
and
Yes,
he
wow.
still owes me an apology.
Well, we shall wait for that apology. We shall not hold our breath. But now I think it is time for us to have a quick discussion, a quick section on new pickups. And I've got two that I'll share with you. But the first one that I would like to share with you is actually not a pickup for me, but it is one that has come in. So let's start off with this one. A Victor Robles of the Washington Nationals.
It arrived.
It has arrived with Rookie Cup, and this is the black, numbered to 69.
Fantastic.
So Victor Robles, and that is on behalf of someone else on the screen. So I do have in my possession a Victor Robles black from Topps. So that is my first pickup. I will show the second one in a second. But Brandon, you want to showcase any item?
Well, I have a couple here. And speaking on those, I actually got several of them in as well. I'm not going to show them all, but there's a theme to the Robles that we'll get into later once I get more of it complete. But I'm going to start with this one, Eric, because you said there's some of the nicest looking cards. And I have to say, I give Topps fanatics a lot of crap. We give parallels and all that a lot of crap. But these new True Photo for the Topps flagship, they are pretty awesome. And this is a Robles from 2024. This is the image that is on his base card, but they remove all of the border and design from it and just show the actual image. And this one is obviously, if my camera would...
Brandon, if you put your hand behind it, it's your face being there. That kind of, I think, prevents the zoom. There we go. Actually, there you go.
And it's still got a glare, but awesome photo on that one. Another one that came in, it's got a cool patch. It's from a cleat from Diamond Icons out of 10. It's a silhouette there. So that one I will probably break down and actually have that one slabbed at some point. Just because that material, I'm not sure if that will hold up. And then this is a kid. Never thought I would buy a Cleveland Browns card or want any player from the Cleveland Browns, but this is Wyatt Teller, and actually found out, I didn't realize this, he was drafted by the Buffalo Bills and then traded to the Cleveland Browns, and he's made multiple Pro Bowls now, and he grew up in the town that I grew up in and actually played at my high school. So I thought that was pretty cool. Picking up a few of his because, when you have that kind of connection, it's somebody that you can make a little spot for on your PC. So
very good. Very nice. Eric, what say you?
Well, I got a bunch of things on my desk. As we know, part of my job is to do a lot of autograph signings with different athletes. This past weekend, we had two of the three Hanson brothers come into the shop, and here in Saugus, Massachusetts, and we had Jeff Carlson and Dave Hanson come in. Now, Carlos and I had met them with Bobby and Yannick and Brad about 2 years ago up at the expo where they were doing a charity event, and we had spent some time with them and talked to them for a while up there. But I was able to get to know them a little bit more and spend a little bit more time with them this time around. So we did the signing at Sports World yesterday, and then we went out to dinner afterwards, which was cool. Very nice guys. Really enjoyed talking to them. A lot of fun stories. They were very good friends with Gordie Howe. Dave actually played against Gordie Howe in the WHA a couple of times. So I got to hear a couple of cool Gordie Howe stories, which I always love to hear. They were great with the fans and the public and everything. And one of the things I wanted to ask them was why won't they sign McFarlane action figures or pop figures? And they just talked about how they don't think it's right to not be able to have control over their image and not make any money off of it, so they're refusing to sign them, and and all that. And it's like, all right, I respect that, no problem. Well, I got to know them a little bit, and I was working specifically with Jeff during the signing and getting to know him, and completely on his own, all of a sudden, as things were winding down, he just looked at me and went, F it. But he didn't say F it. He said the bad word. And grabbed this McFarlane and signed it for me. Now, this is rare because they will not sign these. But he just wanted to do something nice for me, and he just said, F it. Who cares? You only live once. I don't know. He made some kind of thing like, just F it.
All I'm hearing is F it, YOLO.
Yeah, he said a lot of that.
You should have got him to inscribe that. That would have made it
F it, YOLO
rare.
would have been a great inscription.
Well, it says Jeff Carlson 18 slap shot. So it's a rare piece. There's not a lot of them. There's probably a couple of them out there. But they will not, and as wonderful as Dave was, he wasn't doing it. We had all three figures. We had Steve in the shop, not Steven. You follow me? Steve in the shop a few weeks ago, and he was like, no, I'm not signing those. And it's like, no problem, because we had all three figures. And we weren't pressuring anybody to do anything they weren't comfortable with. But all of a sudden, Jeff's just like, F it. And he just signed it for me.
There you go.
So I really appreciate it. I got a unique piece that not a lot of people have, but a lot of people want. So add this to the collection. Dave did sign they signed tons and tons of stuff for us. But I asked him to sign a Detroit Red Wings puck. He was called up to the Red Wings for a period of time. So I have a Dave Hansen, number 17, Detroit Red Wings puck. He forgot what number he was. And we had to look it up because he's like, I don't remember what number I was. So he wasn't there for very long. And then I had both of them sign a blank puck, and then maybe, hopefully someday, I'll see Steve again and have him add to it, because I just totally forgot to do it when he was in the shop a few weeks ago. And for those, I won't go into any details or share anything that I was told, but just simply, these two guys, Dave and Jeff, no longer have a working relationship with Steve. Jeff and Steve are actually brothers. Families can be difficult, so they no longer tour as the three of them. So the two of them tour together, plus the rest of the cast, and Steve tours alone.
Indeed. Now, quickly, I wanted to just add a supplement to Eric's story when he was talking about the Hansons and the Expo and everything, and it was. So they were doing that tour when they were promoting that stuff. But my recollection of it, my favorite recollection of that whole thing, like I said, I always tease, but the reality is like meeting most of the hockey players for the most part doesn't really. It's not something I concern myself with. It's not something I go out of my way to do. Now we did, but my favorite memory about that was that PSA Canada was actually doing a like little party gathering over on that side of the expo. Now, Brandon, they had allocated a certain amount of funds for it, including drink tickets. Well, what happened was they got to a certain point and they actually still had a crap ton of drink tickets. And it got to the point where they're like, hey, you want to grab some extra? Like, basically, he was trying to they paid for it already, so they got to get rid of it more. And let me tell you, Brandon, I had one or two or many drink tickets, and, the odd beverage was consumed. So I remember the whole thing, but at the same time, I was sitting there like, my interest is like, I got a lot of beer I need to be drinking, man. Like, I'm busy.
I drank Pepsi. So I remember it all very clearly.
I also remember it very clearly, but my favorite part about it was getting to drink that much beer.
You drank a lot of beer.
I did.
You
and it was great.
It enjoyed being in you.
Yeah, and then we went to dinner. So it worked out. But that was the thing. Like for me, it's like I don't really care about meeting these guys. I just wanted to have my beer. And actually, I had to be kind of coaxed into taking the damn picture because I didn't really care about taking the picture.
I'm trying to find the picture. I know I have it.
Yeah, we have a couple, but like I said, for me, it was like I don't even have the picture. That's that much I cared about it. So it's like, but I know it's somewhere. Like I'm pretty sure I have it on backed up somewhere. But it's like, guys, if I had wanted to get something signed by them in the first place or taken a picture, I would have arranged for that because it wouldn't have been difficult. But at the same time, we ended up taking the pictures anyway. So I know Eric has one for sure. I think Yannick also had a picture. Eric had one. I've got a picture with them and everything. So it's like, good for those guys. But yeah, not my thing. But at the same time, like the drink tickets was my favorite part. Just the sheer, it was ridiculous how many drink tickets they had.
You had a good time with the drink tickets. That's a fact, Jack.
You know what the best part? You know what makes beer even better, Eric? Beer's already pretty good, but you know what's better? Free beer.
Free beer is you definitely All right, hold on. See if we can get this one going. You and I are both in this one. Here you go. Ready?
All right.
There you go.
Yep, there you go.
So, and you see, Dave and Jeff are on the ends.
Yeah, and if you pay attention, Carlos still has his drink beer in front of him.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I wasn't planning on taking a fucking picture. I was drinking my goddamn beer, and these idiots are bothering me. Unbelievable. Hey, Brandon, how inconsiderate.
They had you front and center.
Oh, yeah. Listen, least we can do, honestly. So let me showcase this one. So this one has two things going for it. Number one, it is a PC item for one of the player collections. And also, it is the 2,799th Mike Modano card is. One shy of 2,800. It is the penultimate to getting to 2,800. So here it is.
Very nice.
The Authentics. Nice clean design for this on card auto. But I think what I liked about it is that they used the jersey from the 75th anniversary. Now, the thing is, if you pay attention to it, the 75th anniversary, and I believe you can kind of make it out. I put it on my Instagram. It's easier to see on there. I took a good picture of it. But like I said, design-wise, I like this. This is actually from 2425 SP Authentic. So this is one of the short print autos for this. But what happens is, because they use the 75th anniversary picture, this should be, if my memory serves me, this is actually a Minnesota North Star jersey. Even though if you look at it and go, oh, that looks like the Dallas, because the first year in Dallas, the last year in Minnesota, they had a jersey that was just carried over in Dallas. And the only thing they did was add Dallas to it. So in reality, that design did happen in Minnesota 1 year, the very end, before they moved over to Dallas. And then they just retained the design and it carried over into Dallas. But this one, like I said, because of the picture and everything, it's technically a Minnesota design. And it's even got a little shoulder patch on it. So I like the photograph they used because I know it from different pictures throughout his career. Clean on card auto on there. I'm a fan. Good design, good choice on that one. I liked what they did with that one. That's what happens when you follow a player's career, though. After a while, you kind of become kind of familiar. That's why I say as soon as I looked at that, I go, I'm pretty sure that's the Minnesota one. That should be the last Minnesota one there before they went over to Dallas in the first season. So that's kind of a cool one. Again, 75th anniversary patch on the jersey as well. But yeah, that is $27.99. And I got a notification that it looks like, based on tracking, tomorrow. So we're recording this on a Monday. It's dropping on Tuesday. By Tuesday, by the end of the day Tuesday, I may have Medano number 2800 in my possession. And if everything goes according to plan, it shall be a special one that I will reveal later on. Very exciting. So those are my pickups. I don't know if Brandon, if you had anything else you wanted to share, Eric, if you had anything else you wanted to share before we close off the segment and we can move on, but you let me know.
One other quick thing. I have to go through it and finalize it and double check everything. But I believe I purchased and picked up a complete set of 1978 O-Pee-Chee hockey, which of course has the Bossy rookie in it. And this is in really, really good shape. I'm very happy with that. And you got Bobby Orr's last card. And that's him from the 76 Canada Cup.
Is that the Four Collectors logo at the top?
No, but
it kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
Kind of look like it, yeah. And you got Dennis Watson sitting next to him. So
a lot of people don't know that Bobby Orr actually founded the Four Collectors.
He was like,
he's one of the many.
Four.
Yeah, that was canon. Back before all of this, it's like the Stonecutters. He founded it a long time ago. Think about it. So I don't know. Anything you want to share there, Brandon, or are we done with new pickups?
No, I like most all of this stuff is I'll share. I'm waiting on some more to come in,
Sure.
and then I'll share them. This stuff is the Roble stuff that goes along with the black, but I'm waiting on some more. I'm actually working on the rainbow of this. And then these go well with the channel, but I'm waiting on a few more of these. The Wacko for Flacco.
Yes.
I'm getting all that they made of them, the black refractors.
Nice.
So, but I got a few more I'm waiting on of those too. So
good stuff.
Little projects, little fun projects.
I like it. So those are the pickups for this week. Now we're going to get into talking about one more quick thing, and then we'll talk a little bit about the footballs, and that'll be the episode for this week. So as I mentioned, I did have a video that dropped this past weekend. The Sports Card Therapist has resurfaced, and I did have a little bit of fun because one of the part of the video that I made was referencing back. I believe it was episode number 48 of this very podcast, nearly 100 episodes ago, was the most infamous and most viewed episode of this podcast when we talked about what was the last sports card therapy session for now at the time. Little did we know it would take almost 2 years, and the sports card therapist resurfaced. Now, I did do it in kind of my traditional style, which is to do a little review and recap and kind of a reaction video to it. I gotta be honest, there wasn't a lot for me to pull from it because they took what was actually the discussion and basically covered a really scrubbed version of it in about 5 minutes. And that's where I have to be like, okay, so I'm going to fill in the blanks then. Since they don't want to, I will. So here is a little bit of the apology video. And here is us talking about it back in the day with some other clips that I'll play. So I did enjoy. The comment section had some fun with that one because they were like, I can't believe you have these clips. It's like, oh, I got a lot of clips. You'd be surprised.
Lots of clips.
You'd be surprised what I've got occasionally. But in this case, I do want to reemphasize a point though. I mentioned it at the time, but I'm also going to reiterate it here. The issue was never the specific infraction, because I'm not even going to call it crime. I'm going to call it an infraction. The infraction was that he made a megabid on a card and then did not honor said megabid. Now, this is not good. This is bad. Now, at the time, also, a lot of people were like, oh, more egregious thing had been done, which is true. But one of the things we talked about before we hit record was just because someone has done something worse doesn't mean that what you did is okay. There are plenty of instances and examples that lots of them, trust me, we could go into very silly places. But all I'm saying is that just because somebody has done something worse doesn't then absolve you of doing something that was inappropriate. It's a hobby faux pas, if I want to be really nice. A lot of people could be a lot stronger with that, trust me. But either way, it wasn't a good thing. And the issue at the time and the issue now are two similar but two different things. The issue at the time was that he took very little accountability, the bare minimum amount of accountability, and then decided to scrub his entire social media profile, which then leads you to go like, were you hiding anything else? Because you just have to ask the question. A normal person doesn't run away and scrub everything, whitewashing all the history of everything you had done up until that point. Now, in his return, the aftermath, he says, he gives a really brief explanation, and the brief explanation is like, he was going to take a little bit of time off, and then he realized that it was a weight off his shoulder and everything. And I said in my video, I was very clear about this. If that's true, that's fine. That's fine. It can be a grind to do this consistently all the time. Come up with different ideas, get guests. Because he was doing a podcast, he was getting guests, he was doing scheduling and doing all these things, and then you got kids and you got other stuff going on. Like, totally, I could see that being. But the problem is, you were doing all that, and then you suddenly walked away from it, and again, you still had enough time in your busy schedule to then be able to scrub everything. So it's like it feels like there's a missing piece here that you didn't fill in. There's a gap here in the discussion how we got from point A to point B to point C that you're not filling in here. And at the end of the day, I don't expect him to ever answer that, but I do feel like all these years after, fine, you want to go on your buddy's podcast and spend like 2 minutes talking about this and then run away to it and then, hey, I got this neat new card. Hey, that's fine. But you're still not taking any accountability for any of it. You did just kind of randomly vanish and take off. But it made for a good response video. So like, I'll just put it that way. It made for a good response video. I got some great comments on it. So thank you all for the engagement on that episode. Really good stuff. I don't want to go through all that, feedback on it in this case. I will go through a little bit of the feedback from last week's episode here, which I usually like to do. But regardless, I appreciate everybody who did respond to it. If you get a chance, I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check out that video so you can take a look at it yourself. Again, it's just kind of a recap. And then I do still have a link on there to the original podcast episode where we talked about it at the time. It was nice, though, to have the bookend, to be able to actually have it. All right. Because at the time I asked the question and we kind of were discussing whether we thought he would reappear at some point. And it took almost 2 years, but he did reappear, at least for a brief moment. I don't know if we'll see him again, but for now, it sounds like this was a one-off. Either way, it was interesting, and it was kind of fun to be able to go back and, hey, here's a bookend on the story that began a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is the inventor of the megabid, the man who brought to our attention that the only way to do a "I'm out of here" video is from the front seat of your car.
This is important. Innovation.
Innovation. At that point, I think everyone has done a video from the front seat of their car. When it's time to leave the hobby, that is where it's going to get done. So, no, it was wonderful to hear from him again. And the only person that banned him from the hobby was himself.
Yes.
It made things even worse, where he could have just maybe made a quick statement, explained himself, and said, "Take me or leave me, and keep doing what you're doing and see what happens." But instead, he went to the car. And then
like I said, I said it kind of briefly in the video. I said briefly in the video, like realistically, it's not like he even had to do a lot. Let's say, like I said, let's say he had gotten a little bit of heat at the time, which he did. And let's say he decided it wasn't worth it, Brandon. Like, let's say that was the discussion, looking at it, go, oh, you know what? It's not worth the hassle. I don't want to have to like apologize. I don't want to have to do a whole bunch of stuff and then try to rehabilitate the brand and all. You know what? Forget it. I don't want to deal with any of this stuff. Then, okay, no problem. Just one final post that says, hey guys, I'm going to take some time away. I don't know if I'll be back, but if not, thanks to everybody that supported it. And maybe we'll see you down the road. That was it. Like, that's it. That's all you got to do. And guess what? There's your exclamation. There's your period, end of story. And if he doesn't come back for years, then, hey, you said your piece and you're gone. But again, you don't have to then scrub also the entire, like I said, there's a lot of podcast episodes that are pretty innocuous. But again, the action of just going and scrubbing everything goes like, why did you scrub everything? What was these random collector conversations or these other things where you're talking about so-and-so? Like, those other people are still around. So like, was there any issue with those episodes?
The only thing, and I don't know the guy, and really, like, I remember the situation where the stupid megabit thing and all that, but to the topic of like scrubbing all of the content or whatever, the only thing that I will say as a maybe for a logical reason of it is so people wouldn't go to old videos or old Instagram posts or whatever, commenting and talking shit, and maybe he just didn't want to deal with that. So in order to do so, he just wiped it all out, and then there was nothing there. So that would be the only realistic, logical reason that would make sense there if you're not trying to hide something or whatever else that I could see. You know, I have a channel that I haven't done a video on in over a year. I didn't go take all the videos down. I didn't have a reason to stop other than time. You know, I didn't want to, like, I took a break from it, and I just haven't found that I want to go back starting to do it, you know, again. But it, like, I didn't go through deleting shit or whatever because there was no reason. Like, I don't know. People do that sometimes, but I don't know. I think that I think the fact that you have to do a video to explain, like, anytime you put yourself in a position that you have to do a video to explain something that is looked at in a negative way, you're already setting yourself up, like, there's already a problem there. If he did this megabit thing or whatever, he already knew which path he was going down, especially if he did it with the intent of not paying. Like, you already know that you're not doing the smart thing. And so
well,
he had
remember
already made that.
so quick reminder. So the excuse given at the time was that he said his intention was to pay, but he believed, based on how high it went, because it was an Eli Manning card, he thought, oh, this must have been shillbit. So his argument was, oh, this must have been shillbit. There's no way this is legit, and therefore he didn't pay.
Okay, people can use that excuse every damn day.
Okay. But that's
The
what I mean.
fact is, you placed the bid, you locked yourself into the bid, you were intently paying, and you can't prove that it was shilled.
Yeah.
You're still responsible.
Well, that was the upshot. That was the point at the time. The point is, like, and also, again, he had built himself up a public profile. At that point, you know what? You committed to this. Maybe you think it's too high. Maybe I'd be inclined to agree. But either way, you committed to it. Just pay the fee. Pay the fee.
And hell,
be done with it.
We just talked about a $12,000 Jay Cutler.
I was gonna say
maybe
it was cheap.
Point.
Maybe it was cheap.
The Eli might be a bargain. He might have lost on this deal.
In retrospect, if he's only had those Eli Mannings now, Eric, the fortunes that could have been raised, fortunes.
That's
all I'm saying. So real quick, I wanted to. So that was basically the upshot of it. So feel free to check out the video. You'll get the gist of it. I'll give a recap. It was a fun video to redo. Again, going back to what we talked about the week prior, you can tell when someone's having. I was having fun, Eric. I was in my moment. I got to. Oh, sports card therapist is back. I even interrupted watching the Packer game, which we'll talk about in a minute, which was a good Packer game. I needed to be able to know this needs my undivided attention. I cracked open my IPA and I was like, I got to do this. I got to do this with the content gods, and I did. Had to be done. So last week we got some really good comments on the video introducing Mayo Marcel. Great title. Although I probably should have been a little more explanatory and descriptive, but nonetheless, great feedback and great things in the comments. So first one, real quick. Hodges1455 says, give the video a like. Enjoyed listening to the discussions. When making videos on cards, it helps immensely to add why you picked it up or why it's part of your collection. Even mentioning accomplishment, a few stats or a fun fact about player added to the video. So appreciate the feedback there. Dan's Vintage Baseball PC says, production values mean nothing if you're stuck with Eric on your show. Which honestly is a valid point. My response to that is this is a truth worth emphasizing. Alas, sacrifices must be made for the continued patronage of the like button, which is correct. You hit the like button, Eric pays for it. Plus, if Eric's general suck is not contained within the confines of the BIC universe where we can handle it, then his contagion might spread to other parts of YouTube, which would bring the whole thing down. I think we can all agree this is not an unacceptable outcome.
Eric, did you have any prior connections or associations with therapists? Because maybe you just brought everything down and he didn't really scrub it. It was your fault.
No, I've never had any interactions with him ever, even though he's from this general area, I think.
Oh, well, there we go. It was the non-direct relation.
Yeah.
I don't want any connection from Eric to get to me.
Scrub
it all. Scrub it all.
I don't know if he's from Massachusetts or not, but he's definitely from New England, I believe. So
I think it was Connecticut.
I could drive to his house. I know that, but I don't know exactly where.
So what y'all were in, like,
Ooh,
probably
BIC
at some
exclusive.
point
Yeah,
sharing the same wave, the bandwidth and stuff, and yep, it makes sense now. Okay.
Yep.
I'll just show up at his house with a microphone. Hi, could you please answer a few questions?
Sir. Bougie Eric of the press.
Yeah.
We have questions for you. So let's see here. The Loud Collector. So I'll read this comment here. There's quite a bit going on here. So
What
bear
is
with me a
Phil
second.
saying now?
There's a lot going on.
Is he got a bad mouth, Marcel?
There's a lot going on here. Like, look, it's basically a block of text right now. So I got to read it like this. Oh my God, perfect timing, Carlos. Office, open bracket. Losing my mind, caged animal. Day, but saved by the three amigos. You just answered my question. Well, not you, but digital past Carlos did. Thanks, man. I do transcend time and space. You're welcome, Phil. Quite the cup box. Holy crap. Alfredson just has Jack Squat for cup cards. So bonus, I didn't spend the cash. Negative, he doesn't have that much. Yes, speaking of the box that I showed with all the cup cards that I have for Medano. Speaking of that. Let me scroll through here. Taking the hobby not seriously is fantastic advice that I wish could be broadcast to certain groups, but even then, lead a horse to water kind of thing. Still listening. I expect some Eric roasting. Pretty tame so far. Kind of disappointed. LOL. At 40 minutes. Yes, Eric. This is all caps. The seriousness of some groups of our hobby. My lord. My worldly status is not connected to the collection of cardboard documenting other grown men's accomplishments. LOL. Hour 34 minutes. Brother, I try so hard to communicate the best possible. I'd honestly take a course on it if I could. What's the point of thoughts to share if you can't properly and accurately convey them? Eric knows these feels. Being misunderstood is the bane of my existence. Eric knows these feels. Irony is it's my fault. Looking inward and help breathing, something helps to struggle, yet struggle 99% of the time. I hear you, Carlos, forever struggle. Thank you, Phil. There's a lot going on there, so it took me a minute to get us through there. Bobbles has said, it seemed very painful to Eric to give Carlos a compliment, which is true. My response, the truth has always hurt Eric. The truth of my correctness, the truth of his actual relationship with Marcel Dion, the truth that he, in fact, never spoke to Peter Forsberg.
Yes, I did.
Did you, though?
You're just mad that I chose him over you and I was late for dinner.
No one was mad you were late for dinner.
I don't know. You just keep bringing it up. I think you're still mad.
No, your wife basically told us, so where do you think he is? He's probably bothering a janitor somewhere. And then we left you a cup of mayonnaise.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. I didn't like
you didn't show appreciation for that, jerk.
No, I almost
Eric, what I'm upset about is your lack of respect for the cup of mayonnaise. That's what I'm upset about.
I didn't like that at all.
Just saying. Next comment. The Falsey says, I can see Eric being one of those guys at airports or stadiums with a trunk full of stuff for players to sign. You're giving those vibes. You're that guy. Dan's Vintage Baseball PC responds, that would be impossible because his trunk is filled with the bodies.
Dan knows me too well.
Mike Cam says, amendments should never be changed when you're not on live. Chat must be able to have a voice. Carlos responds, you'll have to take it up with the content gods. Only they speak the true word of the BIC rules. Ham concedes this. Be true. The content gods tell us from on high what must be in the rules.
We had no objections on Friday.
It was unanimous. TJ Mack says, thank you, Carlos, for mentioning my video. I completely agree that people often say they want to see the cards, but if the presentation isn't engaging, most won't stick around. We've all seen the cards before, but one of the things that may keep people interested is understanding why they matter to you. It doesn't always have to be deep or profound reason. Every video doesn't need to be a masterpiece. Sometimes it's fun to experiment and see what resonates. Music can definitely be tricky, but when it's chosen well, it can be effective in capturing the tone. Thanks again. Terry. And my response was absolutely well deserved. Your channel is a great example of the importance of presentation, having something to say to complement what is being shown. Your effort and care shows that the call out was warranted.
Really?
Are you showing disrespect to TJ Mack? Is that what you're saying?
Really? Okay.
Wow. What are you taking objection to, Eric? Hold on, go on. Let's hear what your objection is.
The everything between the first word of that paragraph and the last word was mostly what I was questioning.
Which part? You don't think TJ Mack's channel is a great example of importance of presentation?
No, he said ours was.
Nope, he didn't say anything about ours. That was my response to him.
I thought we were talking about our channel, and I'm just like,
No. Our presentation is unimpeachable. Brandon, we got production values up the wazoo. It's almost too much.
We have the border. We have the
Mhm.
watchful eyes.
Mhm.
We have the praise the content gods.
We do.
We have Poopy Pony.
And look, hold on. You see where Brandon's head is? Look right there. You see the corner? Hold on. Bam!
Christmas.
And now back to normal. I'm sorry, Eric. We have presentation on presentation.
Mm,
We have all the presentations.
okay, I was wrong again. You're right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Never question. Never question. Either way, TJ Mac, good stuff by you. Appreciate the comments. Great comments, everybody. Thank you all for the engagement. As always, we appreciate it. So feel free to always leave something in the comment section. Happy to acknowledge it on a subsequent episode. It is one of my favorite things to include. All right. So real quick, I think with all that, we've got the main pieces covered. Not a lot of news this week. Not a lot of news stuff. Like I said, the funnest thing for me this week was sports card therapists reemerging and just being able to kind of go back into the past and have some fun with that. But we did have
There's
week
one thing.
Go ahead, Brett. Go ahead.
We didn't even think about this, and I don't know. I didn't catch Friday, and then today I was like all over the place looking for hotels and all this other stuff. But anyway, since we all like are kind of, well, I guess Eric's not, but well, he has Beckett, somewhat connected with the grading. What is the thoughts on the numbers that popped out?
Oh, the new gem rate numbers?
Yeah.
Well, we knew that SGC has to go down a fair bit still. Like realistically, the incentive. So look, I think it's a fair. It's a good comment. It's a good call out. Let's quickly touch on this. Okay, realistically, I really don't care what it comes down to. I threw in some number. Like I threw in my opinion. If they're getting 30,000, 40,000 cards a month, or somewhere in the vicinity of where Beckett is, I would still keep them around because that's enough to still be worthwhile. Because again, matching what Beckett is. Like if you match what a Beckett is as a boutique, and a lot of people keep getting obsessed with the word boutique and they keep thinking, well, you have to upmarket it. No. And by the way, for the record, I have noted that some content creators have been talking. I think Dan was an example of this. They were talking about how their latest SGC submission came in at about a couple of weeks or a month or whatever it was, like more in line with what they're used to, a little bit faster than it had been in some of the recent ones for some folks.
I have somebody that used to submit with us. He messaged me. He had sent him some stuff and said it was 7 days, door to door.
Yeah. So I go back to my original question. Like, again, this is all hypothetical. We don't have, any insight. We, outside of SGCP being locked in Brandon's closet, outside of that, we don't have any direct connection. So he's no longer associated. So we don't have the direct hookup. But like, I'll ask the question again. Because a lot of people keep getting obsessed with this and they just don't understand one simple thing. The majority of the people who are submitting cards for grading will not experience whatever it is you're experiencing, good or bad. A lot of people obsess over every time one of the graders screws up. Guess what? 1.6 million cards, they are going to screw up. But here's the problem. And I'll give you I'll throw it again at you just so we understand each other. 1.6 million cards. Imagine if they screw up 10% of the time. 10%. That's 160,000 cards. That's a lot, right, Eric? That's a lot.
I would agree.
But here's the thing. That means 1,440,000 went off without a hitch. Those people aren't going to give a shit that yours got screwed up. Their question they're going to ask themselves is, did I get what I wanted out of it? So I gave you a scenario where 10% would be catastrophic. 10% failure rate would be like, oh my, that's not a scandal. That's like, everybody stop everything. Well, Eric, do you think realistically they screwing up 10% of it?
No.
Because I think you would hear a lot more about it if it was 160,000 in 1 month that they screwed up. Don't you think?
Oh, it'd be all over the interwebs.
So that suggests to me that the percentage is probably lower. But that still means it could be a lot of cards. That still means they could screw up your order. So, of course, you are upset. Justifiably so. You are upset justifiably. But understand that the majority of the people submitting the cards are getting basically what they asked for. They submit it, they get the thing, they get the thing in the slab, and it's done. The majority of them, because you're not hearing from the 1.5 million that, oh my God, they graded my entire thing wrong. All of it's wrong. Well, maybe a couple of them are having. Again, you can literally have hundreds of thousands of ones that you could disagree with. Hundreds of thousands. And that's still a percentage. 1.6 million is a lot of damn cards, man.
When I worked in manufacturing, and most manufacturing companies take on this, like you said, it's a percentage, and they call it parts per million.
Correct.
and you have a failure or a defect rate that you try to stay under parts per million. And so, you know, I think a lot of the, in PSA terms, a lot of the screw ups are also people not getting what they thought they were going to get when it
Mhm.
comes to their grading. They do make some obvious shouldn't have happened mistakes that
Mhm.
get spilled out on, you know, but they all do. Um, in terms of FCC, I'm on the same bubble. Um, I've seen their number. It obviously it dropped some, but I think they still had some of the backlog that they were working through. So that
Mhm.
number was still propped a little bit. I expect it
Yep.
to drop down a little bit more. Um, CGC, I have been noticing and hearing conversations with them. A lot of people are saying that they're getting their stuff back quickly, and I think I figured out those people. I think a lot of people are submitting to them using the economy level, and apparently that is being turned around pretty decent time. The bulk level, they just bumped that up to now 80 business days.
Mhm.
So for perspective, I submitted something in May, and it was 35 business days at the time. That order is still not complete, and it's raised now to 80 business days during that period. So bulk is not their strong suit, but I think people are going around that with the economy and other levels. So, um, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting because you know this is the first time we really kind of seen or like could actually physically number wise see how it's going to go. We knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know
Mhm.
how far the ship was going to dip. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So what I'll do, let me add one or two things and then we'll kind of put a button on this one. But let me finish the thought since you brought it up and it's a good thought. So let me kind of, so again, I gave you kind of the scenario a second ago, just so we're all on the same page here. Again, there will always be defects. There will always be
mhm.
flaws. And by the way, some of the AI machine ones, they also screw up. Trust me. But it's not hard to find examples of that. But let's remembering all this. So here's my point. The and like I said, I'll finish the PSA point that I'm trying to make, but then I'll move over to the SGC so we can talk about that for a second. So the point that I'm making is that with the sheer volume of it, mistakes happening is to be expected. It is unfortunate when it happens, and when it happens to you, then it's more problematic than when it just happens in the general ether in the world. The other piece to me is the CGC not figuring this out or not making the adjustment is disappointing because this is an opportunity for them. This right now, they are in a prime position to be the alternative because if you don't want to use PSA, CGC could be that alternative, but they just don't seem to be able to get out of their own way. Now, shifting this back over to SGC for a second. Them dropping the numbers doesn't bother me at all because, again, what I said a second ago, they could be very much a viable alternative to the other ones. As you said, the backlog shrinking is going to factor that into that. But let me pose a question for the never PSA crowd that wants to use an alternative. If SGC continues to exist at around the price point it's currently at, like I don't remember what they're at. I don't know what their per card
15.
is. Okay, let's say 50. But for the hell of this conversation, Brandon, let me bump it up. Let's say $20. I'm just going to round it up to $20, okay? If you as an individual can submit for $20, of course 15 is better. But for the sake of this conversation, let's say you can submit at $20. But let's say you can submit at $20. The grading will be reasonable, not amazing, not terrible, but it's good, it's solid. You're like, okay, yeah, that sounds about right. You can get it for $20 and they can turn it around within a couple of weeks. How many people that don't want to use PSA period would be like, okay, that's fine. Okay, good enough. Because they're not asking for because look, what everybody wants is they want to pay $1 a card and they want a 30-second turnaround time. They want to hand it to them.
Mhm.
Basically, the card isn't even across the table and it's already being handed back. That's what they want.
All tens. That's what people want.
And they're all tens.
Yep.
But they're not going to get that. So shy of that though, if I say to you $20 or right around maybe $18, whatever. But you get your turnaround time within a week or 2 weeks, even 2 weeks. That's good enough for a lot of people. There's still a use case for a bunch of folks. And if they like the tux, all the better. But the point is, you could do 30 or 40,000 cards a month that way, and that could still be a profitable business because, again, we've removed all the other overhead. You're in the same office. The person can literally switch from a PSA hat to SGC hat at a drop of a hat, literally. And if you just want the damn tux so bad, here you go.
Yep. I
So,
I would say they're probably going to sit they'll probably settle in at 60,000
which
a
I think would
month.
be a good number for them. Like with the reduction in the overhead that they've done with the Boca Raton location now being co-opted for both, and again being able to literally shift graders from one side of the desk to the like the money you're saving doing that, that could be a viable business inside the business.
Hmm.
And and again, for the rank and file person submitting, do you give a shit if for 15 to 20 bucks you get it back in 2 weeks?
The curious part would be how much the collector side of it is willing to pay, like how far monetarily they want to pay to get the tux.
Sure.
The flipper side to get it back quickly on some of this stuff, they'll definitely like, even though it's not going to bring PSA value, it's always that like the model for SGC's growth has been cost because there's no upcharge on ultra modern stuff
Mhm.
and turnaround time. Getting it, and then you have the consistency that, people talk about. Some people just like the black insert. So for that, I think they would still, it would actually maybe benefit PSA to shrinking them down a little bit because they would capture that audience that wants that stuff back quickly, whether it's for collection or flipping, and then offer the majority market share on the ones that want the return value or the set registry or whatever. So they would kind of offer a little bit of best of both world type of thing.
Yeah. Well, so that's been my pitch this entire time. I've used a couple of different analogies, but one of my favorites is the cell phone analogy, where we have like the telecommunications giant. They have the main offering. So we'll use obviously we talk about here Rogers, the Rogers Center and everything, all the stuff they own. Well, there's Rogers cable, Rogers, cell phone, Rogers, all this stuff, all Rogers branded stuff. They've got a cell phone service. So you can get phones and everything, all that. They own a subsidiary called Fido. Fido is literally Rogers. They are Rogers. Rogers is Fido. Fido is Rogers. But Fido tends to be the more value brand. Well, here's the thing. They're using the same backbone. They're literally using the same satellite towers. So your service, your cell service is identical. Well, here's the thing. Fido is cheaper. Brandon, why would you create your own competition for yourself? The answer is market share. Some
Yeah.
people are like, oh my God, I'm not. And there are people who I've literally heard utter these words, which makes me laugh because I'm on Fido. I use them for my cell service. But they literally will be at the store and they're out of the words, oh man, I'm sick of those Rogers guys. They're ripping us off. Why I can get the cell service for cheaper here. And I'm just sitting there going like, Fido's owned by Rogers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're providing the money to the same people. They're still getting it. It's like they offer you this different, but they're offering you different branding. They're letting
Yep.
you live the dream. I know exactly where the money's going. I'm not pretending here. Like you're not being a rebel. I'm sorry to tell you. But it goes back to the question. For some reason in sports cards, people don't seem to believe that you can get away with the stuff you can get away with all these other businesses because the branding thing, some people are not willing to look past 6 inches in front of their face.
Well, I
Yes, you're
mean,
literally giving money to the same people.
the realistic aspect of it right now is in the beginning when they were purchased, you could say, okay, they're still running independently.
Sure.
Collectors was calling the shots on certain things, but Pete was still manning the ship. You still had the SGC, everything was still there the same. Well, now that all of that has been removed, it's like, okay, they're operated now pretty much by the same people as
Yeah.
PSA. And then you can read in all the Facebook groups or comments on the videos, or I'll never use PSA, I'll never give them a dime of my money, blah blah blah. And then it's like, okay, but at this point, they're in the same building.
Mhm.
They're not just owned by the same parent company. They're now operating in the same location. You're giving them your money. You're just getting
Yeah.
the black insert slab instead of the red, hospital band label. Like
Yeah.
you're getting the same product, just
Mhm.
different name on the label.
Yeah.
But there's people out there that are still gonna, be hell bent, and I, I'm here for the ride to see where it lands because it's now interesting to watch. Um, I still get random comments. Somebody commented on a video that was like 2 years old about SGC. And I was like, you just commented on a really old video. Just go back and sort and check some of my recent ones because it's funny how that works sometimes. They'll find an old video and make a comment on it, and it like the whole narrative's changed. But yeah, I just thought it'd be something since it's recent newsy type things. We're kind of seeing how things play out. And just something else, like maybe on the mindset of Dave and maybe SGC in general, they worked so hard to like build the name up in there. And maybe it just came to the point of the old saying, if we're not going to beat them, let's join them. And that's kind of what they did, you know? So,
Yeah, it could be a part of it. It could also be that Dave is a businessman and realize, hey, this is an opportunity to cash out. I'll make some money on it, and like understand, like business people also like to do business. And again, for those that want to do the old Google machine, go. Dave Foreman has a reputation where there's a couple of
oh,
everybody looks at SGC Pete. It's like you do understand he worked for Dave. Dave is the one who actually owned the company, and he's
well,
got his own kind of checkered past and kind of questionable things in the past.
the thing that I love right now is the people, like if you mention CGC being a competitor or like to take over that new spot because of the opportunity, and there must be a lot of people out there that don't realize SGC and Dave was actually CGC.
CGC. Yep.
like,
Yeah.
like that's where it originated. CGC didn't just pop up out of nowhere. They've done grading for a very long time, and they actually were SGC. And then they were abolishing card grading. Dave bought the rights out to make it its own independent entity, moved them to Boca Raton, Florida, and the invoices actually said new SGC is how they were
Yes.
worded on the invoices. So it's just kind of funny all of that and how it's played out. But yeah, um, I don't know if he's still a part, but the last that I had heard that even though he sold, he was still actually operating with SGC. So even though he sold the ownership rights or whatever, he was still there and taking part in and stuff. So, but yeah, I just thought it'd be a fun topic because the numbers popped up last week and um, we hadn't gotten to record since then. So,
Sure.
but we're
Yeah,
we're seeing how
we'll let
things
it
are playing out.
yeah. We'll let it play out a little bit, but like I said, it wouldn't surprise again, at the end of the day, they can do whatever they want. I'm gonna reiterate this. They can do whatever they want. But for me, it would make all the sense in the world to maintain the brand for
Hmm.
no other reason than what we were just talking about. Because the reality is there are some people that, again, the sports card therapist thing proves it. People do not keep tabs on this stuff. They do, and they also have, I think Dan in that video made the point, which is correct, and it's demonstrated over and over again. People have the memory of seconds in this thing. Like it's gone. Like boom, it's gone. We don't remember anything. All it takes, you just got to wait long enough. Sports Card Therapist can come back and do a podcast series again starting tomorrow. And there's a bunch of people who won't remember what happened at the time. They won't care, and like we'll move on. Probstein can have Bill Master on. Hey, that Bill Master seems like a swell guy. Well, he literally went to jail because of issues that he had. But none of it matters. None of it. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. That's why I say there is an entire audience where if all they did was say, hey, here's we hate PSA 2, we're an alternative, SGC, and it's like, but aren't you owned by the parent company? Most people have no idea. They won't pay
Right.
attention, they won't care, they have no clue what's going on.
I have told people in the shop that they're under the same umbrella. You know, customers have come in and I've tried to explain to them they're under the same umbrella, and their minds are blown. They can't believe it. No,
Because the rank and file person doesn't pay attention to this stuff. They don't know and they don't care. They don't. So I'll be honest, Brandon, if I was them, I would literally be like, I would be doing like promotional stuff where SGC like slags PSA. It would be funny. Like I would literally just be like, yeah, PSA sucks. You're right. Great with SGC. And it's like, you're owned by the same fucking company. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You're putting it in our pockets either way. Pick the left pocket or the right pocket. You're still putting it in our pocket. But just, pick left pocket, right pocket, whatever you get to choose. Okay, you get to choose. So I just think that's amusing to me. I get a kick out of it. But anyway, well, like I said, we'll keep tabs on it and we'll see how it goes. And in subsequent months, I think will be more telling. I'd like to see it in October, November, December,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of see how it looks like as we go over in the new year. That'll be, I think, more telling. And we'll see if they settle in. I expect them to keep dropping, but I want to see what number they settle into once they kind of plateau and find their level. But again, I'll go back to what I said a minute ago. If you just need a card graded and that's all you're looking for, if sub $20, they can provide you a turnaround time of about 2 weeks. For a lot of people, that's good enough for what they're looking for. Honestly, because your differentiator is this. With this one, you're paying sub $20 and you get it back in a couple of weeks. With the PSA, it'll take 2.5 months. Well, there you go. There's your differentiator. There's your two different options, right? You want it back a little quicker? Go with the Tux. You want to take your time and maybe get more money on a PSA 10? Well, then go send it to that one. It'll cost you a little more and it'll take a little longer, but here's your alternative. And either way, they get the money. This seems like a viable business model to me, but again, we'll let them figure it out on their own.
Yeah, it
Now,
could be a scenario where, like you were talking about the building and everything. It could be a scenario where they just kept them open, brought in enough revenue off the SGC brand to pay the lease fees for the building, and PSA's got an operating point in Boca Raton, Florida, that they're not even paying out of PSA money. So
the only thing that matters to collectors is the ultimate. A lot of people don't understand with a lot of these businesses, when you own multiple divisions, the overall, they do care about how the divisions do, but the overall bottom line is the important part.
mm-hmm.
You can have a couple of divisions that will kind of be loss leaders, so to speak, as long as it helps the overall ecosystem and it does things that they need to be done, then that's okay. That's fine. Why do you think stores like the big box stores, oh, how can they sell it that cheap? Well, actually, they're losing money on that product. Well, why are they selling that product? Because by selling that product, they get you in the door. And then they're hoping you'll put other stuff in the shopping cart, and the other stuff is where they make the money. That's where they're making it. So they're willing to eat it on a couple of products as long as in the overall you spend more money with them. That's how they make the profit. Walmart does it. Target does it. All of them do it. They have products they do not make a dime on. They only exist to get you in the door, so you'll put other stuff in the shopping cart. And that's okay. That business works. So it's like, again, people have to remember, like, the business's job is to make money. That's their ultimate goal. One last thing I'll quickly mention, just really briefly, because we didn't get a chance to touch on it there. One of the complaints that a lot of people always have about this, oh, but they grade this thing wrong and this great thing. Sometimes, and by sometimes I mean a lot, I'll watch a video where somebody will make that argument, and then I'll look at the card. I'm literally watching the video, and I look at the card and I go, nope, there's about 10 flaws there that you just missed completely. They're right in front of my face. Like, I can see them. I watched a video the other day where they were talking about eye appeal, and I watched it. It goes, can you believe this is a 4? And I'm looking at it, I was like, yeah, I can. I can literally see the flaw right in front of my face. I know exactly, like, I can see it.
And if you can see it through a computer screen
on a processed video.
Yeah, it's pretty evident.
Yeah. But it's like, no, you clearly have missed it. You've decided that flaw isn't there, or you've decided to ignore it. That's your business. I'm not questioning you, but I'm just saying I can see it from here on a processed video, and I'm looking at it in a small, like, no, I can there's a Geoff did this on a return a while back, where he was complaining about a Ken Griffey Jr. card, and he goes, I can't believe it got this great. I got like a 6 or something. He goes, on the back, the hologram was scratched. You could literally see it. The hologram was damaged. The hologram's part of the card.
That's a card. That's a card. That hologram, they nitpick.
the edges can be perfect. The centering can be great. The corners can be flawless. The registration can be beautiful. If the hologram is scratched, that card is damaged and it gets downgraded, and it should be. And that is correct. That's important. That is correct.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's like, you got to understand, just because you think it's graded wrong, maybe it is. Maybe you're right. But you might also be missing something, and maybe it's in front of your face, and you've decided to ignore it because you've decided that, no, I must be right, they're wrong. And I'm like, no, maybe they saw like what's in front of my face that I'm looking at right now, and I'm seeing it, but clearly you're not.
Yeah, sometimes you don't see the forest through the trees, and you're looking at the corners, and you're looking at the centering, and you're looking at this and the edges, and something like a scratch hologram never even comes into your view. You're searching at that thing for 10 minutes trying to figure out how PSA screws this up, and you never even look at the hologram. You're looking at all the other things that we think about that graders look at, and it's right there in front of you, clear as day. It's bright and sparkly.
It is literally sparkly,
and you still didn't see it. And I could totally see that happening to somebody.
Yeah. And like I said, to put a button on it, That doesn't mean they don't screw up. No, they screwed up. They screwed up all the time. And guess what? They will continue to screw up. But sometimes they did get it right and you're just not seeing it. It is in front of you. But so sometimes you got to understand, maybe sometimes it's helpful to have another set of eyes look at it for you. But again, I watch too many videos where I'm like, no, I can see exactly why I got the grade I did. Like, no, I can figure it out very quickly. It's right there. I've zoomed in on some of the pictures and I've sent it to some folks that I know. I go, you probably missed this. It's right here. This is the thing. And I saw it on your video. Again, YouTube reprocesses the video, so the picture isn't perfect. If you had it in your hand, you'd be able to see it even clearer. If I can see it on the reprocessed video, it's probably there, especially in real life. Just saying. All right. So real quick, with that, spend a couple of minutes here at the tail end. We'll talk about week 1 in the footballs. It turned out well for one of us, not so well for one of us, and one of us isn't sure they still play football there. So, Brandon, obviously, I'll speak first for Eric and myself. The Sunday nighter was an exciting game. It was an enjoyable game to watch. Like, it was fun. Like, it actually kept it dramatic up until the end. And for the majority of the game, Baltimore played extremely well. I would say they played about as well as you could play. I was thinking for a moment, Derrick Henry might be. I was thinking, oh, could this be one of those games he goes over 200 yards rushing? Like, it looked like he was heading that direction rapidly. It looked like Lamar was doing Lamar things. It was going really well. Things were well in hand. I believe we can assume well. You were displeased with this outcome and the way in which it transpired.
Possibly.
I voiced my opinion on the last drive before the last drive even took shape. Obviously, yeah, I'm very disappointed in the outcome. The Derrick Henry fumble, he's human, right? He had a monster game. I can't place that one mistake, him costing the game. I didn't understand why on 4th down. Now, I get it if they didn't make it. Buffalo was in field goal range, but at the same time, they had all their timeouts. So it would have made more sense to me knowing that Buffalo was going to try to get into field goal range, needing only a field goal to win, to go ahead and chance it right there. You have 2 players that were averaging like 9.9 yards every time they ran the ball, and you needed 2 yards. Probably the odds weren't in your favor to get those 2 yards. So I didn't understand that, but they punted. It was like what, probably 130-ish, 140 something left.
It was like 130 and change.
Yeah, 135, 136, something like that. And I said it right in the Discord. Like, I seen it immediately. I was like, Buffalo's got this. The defense was playing so soft for knowing that you needed to stop them and keep them out of field goal range or you were losing the damn game. Of course, Buffalo went down, got into field goal range. All right, well, you can do the math. 1:30 on the clock, if they get anywhere close to field goal range, you can kneel the ball and make Baltimore burn all their timeouts and then kick the field goal, game over. And that's exactly what happened. Like, I don't know what the hell the coordinators were doing there. Because, like, I think I could have went out there and took the snaps for Josh Allen and made some of them plays he was making. Because that defense they were not – they were playing soft as hell. And it sucked to see. I mean, I know Henry placed the blame on himself. Obviously, that rookie kicker, he missed an extra point. We don't have Tucker anymore. So that's something you got to think about as a fan going forward. But I didn't understand why they didn't just go for it. I mean, in that situation, if they had went for it, game over. Buffalo had used all their timeouts. So when you were dominating that much that entire game, it was almost like they wanted to let Buffalo have the chance to come back and win. That's almost what it felt like. And I mentioned to you all before we started recording, that game had a similar feeling to the loss week 1 against Kansas City last year. Like, right there, had it in the hand, could have won it, whatever, and we lost because Isaiah Likely's toe was on the white, out of bounds in the back of the end zone. So, I don't know. I've seen it too often. Hell, look at the playoffs. last game the Ravens played. Mark Andrews, throw it to him 1,000 times. He's probably going to catch 999 of them. That one just didn't happen. So it's frustrating as a fan, but it's football. So
It is. It is. It was interesting because my takeaway from it is just this. Number one, it was a very exciting game for those of us that got to watch it, kind of from a neutral perspective. It was a very exciting game. It was the networks must have been thrilled that this allowed the game to be interesting right up until the very end. You actually had it right up until because it looked like it was going to be a laugher with about 5 minutes left. Down by 15. This this is over. Like whatever, they're just going to kill time, whatever. But then you basically were able to be like, no, actually, it went right up until literally the clock ran out. The kick went through, and it was a 1-point victory. I will say this. I think both teams actually should be also, Buffalo fans should be happy that the team didn't give up, should be happy that the team kept playing. They kept trying to scrap and claw for every bit because Baltimore was dominating for the majority of the game. For Baltimore, the lesson is like, it doesn't matter if you dominate the majority of the game, you have to finish the game. It's got to be a full 60 minutes. You got to get to the very end of the 60 minutes. Atlanta can tell you about that in the Super Bowl. Like 60 minutes is the thing. You got to get to the end clock. You can be in great position and dominating right up until a certain point, but then you don't get credit for that if you don't finish. For Buffalo, though, you were getting manhandled for a good chunk of the game. So neither team should feel they combined for 81 points. Yay for the over. If you went with the over, you were good. You can't feel both offenses are great, but you can't feel good about if you're either defense. You can't feel good that when the moment came, like there were opportunities to stop both teams. Both teams gave up a lot when it came to certain parts of the game. So if you're Buffalo, you're gonna like, okay, it was good. Hey, you took the victory. It's still 1-0. We can't give too much to it. So it's kind of but again, as a viewer, it made for an exciting game. So I'll say this. I think that's a fair point to take from there. Like I said, Eric, as far as where it doesn't have a team anymore, so I think they canceled them. I think they moved to New Mexico. I think it's the New Mexico Aztecs now, so it might be a different issue. I was laughing in the Discord. I was enjoying thoroughly for Paul and Dustin continuing the Chicken and Peter Griffin back and forth. I do enjoy that Brandon likes to lob in occasionally and give Paul flack about the past. And I'm sitting there. What's funny is that Brandon knows I'm a Packer fan, but if you notice, I'm not interjecting myself in this because honestly, I'm enjoying it from a distance. And really, all I care about is the team winning the game. I really don't give a shit about the rest of it. Y'all do whatever you want to do. I don't care. But I will say this. I enjoyed week 1. I enjoyed it was against the Lions. I was like, this is a relationship with the Lions that I can appreciate. I enjoy them beating the Lions. This is important to me. I was in Ford Field in front of the Lions fans, trolling them to their face, to their physical face, not even digital face, physical face. And it was great, Eric. And it was splendid. It was wonderful. Wonderful. That's the way it should be. But here's the thing. It's only 1 week. It was good. Like I enjoyed it. It was good. I'm not going to make more of it than that. I'm enjoying it for what it was. It was good. And we're going to get a quick turnaround for the Thursday game. So that should be interesting. We'll be curious to see how that goes. I enjoyed the defense played well. I'd like to see the offense did certain things that I enjoyed. I'd like to see some improvement, but that's like everybody. The funny thing is that week 1 is always enjoyable because if anything wacky happens, like, oh my God, is this for the... a lot of these teams are going to look different in a couple of weeks. A lot of them. Teams that play bad are going to play suddenly better. Sure. Teams that played well are going to struggle. Like it's going to happen. And so you kind of have to enjoy it week by week. Like take it for what it is. Just it counts as one. You get credit for one.
As the season goes on, there'll be more and more injuries, and teams will start falling apart. So
yeah, I don't think anybody came out of week 1 definitively saying everybody's got it going on all cylinders. A lot of these teams take weeks to get certain parts of their game figured out. Some of this is going to change. There are going to be injuries. There are going to be different things that are going to happen that are going to completely alter things as we go along. There are milestone games that are going to be fun. Look, I'm looking for, obviously you want to get to week 2 is on the Thursday. You got the quick turnaround. The week 4 game against Dallas with Micah Parsons. That will be interesting. That's a good milestone game. That's going to be a fun one. I think that's going to be a fun one to look for. But there are going to be some matchups like that along the way throughout the course of this season. Kansas City struggled a little bit. All of a sudden, hey, bring this into card angle for a second. Justin Herbert's back, y'all. Justin Herbert's back. He beat Mahomes in Brazil.
Yeah, what is that? The first time, like, I think Kansas City beat them 6 straight games or something like that.
It's something like that. Yeah, there was some streak broken for sure. So like, does that mean Kansas City now sucks? Maybe, or maybe it means they had a really bad game. Like stuff happens, weird stuff happens, man. Plus it was
Hey, I
Brazil.
had
Maybe there was too
Mahomes
much
as my
carnival.
fantasy. I had Mahomes as my fantasy quarterback. I had Green Bay's defense as my fantasy defense. I had I had Zay Flowers, Baltimore's wide receiver. Now, just to update a little bit real time here, I have Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones playing tonight for Minnesota, and I would say divest in JJ McCarthy because I don't know what the hell is going
Divas.
on exactly in this game, but Chicago is, yeah, Jefferson and Jones have 2.6 combined points for me, and it's middle of the third quarter.
Mhm.
So something is not clicking in Minnesota. So
That all said, though, like the reason I couched my conversation, and this is coming from someone whose team did very well in week 1, had a very impressive performance, all the things. I'm not making too much of it. I'm wearing the hoodie today because it's a good day to have it and everything, but it has no bearing on week 2. It has no bearing on week 3. It has no bearing on week 4. I'm looking forward to it, but this is the fun part, though, Eric. Hope springs eternal when the season starts. Everybody's got a shot at the beginning, and then we'll quickly ferret out who's legit and who's not. Like for me, the Monday Nighter here is great because one of these two teams' division opponents are going to lose.
I was
That's
gonna
all I need.
say that game actually for you guys was big because Lions played, so well, and that's a division opponent, and y'all beat them pretty easily, and so that has to give, if nothing else, it gives you confidence,
Yes.
towards the rest of the season. Hey, we just beat probably our biggest opponent inside of our division, and we beat them fairly handily. Yeah, take the positives out of that and run with it, and then try to improve more. So.
Yeah. My expectation is that if I don't care what team you root for, your expectation should be that you want to see the team improve week by week. You're hoping that, like, you don't want to peak in week 1. It doesn't do you any good to peak in week. You want to be steadily finding things to improve on. Well, there is stuff to improve on. Like there is elements of the game that no, actually you could have done that better, and you could have done that better, and that could be improved. And that's what you're hoping for, is to see a progression as you go week by week, and then and you get stronger as you go forward rather than weaker. That's why I say, like, I mean, now it's kind of, but again, like right now for me, this is great because it's like, no, regardless of who loses, Brandon, it's a division opponent losing another game.
Yep.
And I hope you all have fun and beat each other into the ground.
Right.
Into the ground.
Yeah.
Go for the cheap shot. Go for it.
Hope you come out limping.
That's right. Win-win, Brandon. Win-win. Just saying. But for cards, like, JJ McCarthy, that's, I don't know. That's
Daniel Jones, keep a watch on that because he did something
Daniel
no
Jones.
Quarterback in the century has done.
Oh, Daniel Jones. Oh, Dan Jones. Listen, it goes on. The beat goes on. We're into another season. So
You have
I think that's
Jacksonville. They won with and they got that kid Hunter. So what happens with Trevor Lawrence? He might go back to the moon. Yeah, there's a lot of card plays that are going to be shifting around and be interesting to see who's going to the moon.
Well, that's why it's my favorite part of this right here. We're approaching, Eric, my favorite part of the year, because now football's on. Baseball is starting to round into the stretch drive. Hockey's going to be coming around the corner in October. So we're heading into a really good section of the season. Listen, we got 2 sports and hockey. It's exciting.
That's not nice.
Very exciting. So right now we're heading into, like, right now we're approaching, like, today was actually nice, but there was a bit of a chill. You could sense a bit of a chill in the air. So you're definitely starting to feel that fall vibes. So a little bit of that going on. So we'll see how things go as far as like I said, the card implications. What I'm looking forward to, though, is the overreaction week by week. Oh my God, this player had an amazing game. Cards to the moon. Oh my God, this player had a bad game. We're going to die. Everything's collapsing. It's over.
And we're on the cusp of, tops at some point soon having the footballs and the basketballs. And so that's going to throw a frenzy into everybody. So I think we still got a little bit on the football, but
we got a little bit of time.
People are waiting for it.
To your point, though, that there are your card implications as well. That's a major card implication. That's going to be a big shift over because right now, with the wrestling, that's having an impact because right now they've released this product, brand new Cactus Jack product, and it's like, it's kind of expensive. It's kind of like that. And then they're waiting on a Topps Finest. I'm going to wager it's going to be kind of expensive. It's going to be,
Yep.
we'll see. We'll see how that, look forward to the new future with the Fanatics Overlords. Very exciting. It will cost you more money. No matter what happens, it's going to cost you more money.
Yep.
More money.
More.
Yes.
How much? More. How much more? More.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer. More.
On that bombshell, we'll call it this episode. We'll be back next week with some more fun stuff. Now that we're into the footballs, we'll touch on that a little bit week in and week out as things go along, but we'll have some fun with it. Regardless, if you've got any comments or thoughts on anything we talked about, feel free to put it in the comment section. Been appreciating the engagement on it. And then as we go further into it, like I said, now we know we're getting closer. We're on the road to the expo. We won't touch on it every week, but we will still give some indications as things go along. As we get some more autograph signing guests, maybe we'll touch on that a little bit. Right now, we're kind of at a standstill. Although we do have Jake the Snake Roberts. Right now, at the moment, we're kind of where we are. Plus, for Eric's purpose, for Eric's sake, we got to find out who is Eric going to harass in November. The only way we're going to know is we need to know who's on the list. Who's on the list?
That's a good point.
We still got time.
Yep. Yeah.
More videos coming up on the channel. Friday live streams at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The longest running episodic, whatever it is, we don't know. None of us know. We just don't know.
Nor do we wish to.
And remember, when we get to Friday, we may have to discuss something off the top. Whoops. Foreshadowing is what that is. Foreshadowing. For Brandon, Bobbles and Ball Cards, formerly known as Associated 540 Flips, and for Eric Sanderson Door, inventor of Mr. Tickle Trunk. Inventor. Sole inventor. And I'm going to let y'all know.
A card of this yet, Eric?
I want to let you know something.
I'm not commenting on any of this.
As a quick foreshadowing as well. Originally, I'm going to let y'all know. Originally, I actually thought it was just Eric, with too many concussions, adding Mr. to a name that already existed. But I did a little bit of hashtag scholarship. I did a little bit of research. And there may be a Boston connection to this after all. I have learned things. Scholarly things. And we may have to discuss that in more depth on Friday. That's foreshadowing.
I'm busy on Friday.
Oh, I don't think you are. I don't think you got a damn place to go. Ain't one place in this planet that you can hide. Longest running episodic, whatever it is episodic. We're moving on. Anyway, that's it for us this time around. Thanks very much. We'll catch you in the next one.